శుభాశయగులు. సిరిగన్నడం గెలిగే So before we start this meeting, I would encourage you all, please put your phones on silent. Please also do not walk around or move around when someone is speaking. As I feel it can be a bit disturbing for the speaker. And speakers, please don't say anything offensive in political, religious or gender-related context. So moving on, the theme for today's meeting is, in our diversity lies our strength. The famous actress Dia Mirza once tweeted, "My father was Catholic and my mother was Bengali. I was raised by my Muslim stepfather and I am married to a Hindu. I am Indian." This is a very common story across our country, considering that we Indians are so multicultural. So when Virat Kohli scores a century, for instance, we all cheer for it, irrespective of our culture or religion or region that we belong to. And we all celebrate Eid, Diwali or Christmas and enjoy the holidays in our schools and colleges. This unity in diversity is our biggest strength, and it is getting even better in the coming generations. So the next person to come on stage, our paternal grandmother is a Cochin Jew, and our paternal grandfather is from Bangalore in Tamil Nadu. Our maternal grandmother is from Thrissur in Kerala, and our maternal grandfather is from Salem. And she is married to a person whose parents are from Bellary in Karnataka and Pondicherry. Now, in spite of all these multicultural dimensions, she's got South Indian blood running through her veins. And in her heart, she's full of Nama Bangalore. Without any further delay, please put your hands together for Toastmaster Hannah Victoria.
ಧನ್ಯವಾದಗಳು ಟೋಸ್ಟ್ಮಾಸ್ಟರ್ ಸಾಯಿದೀಪ. ನಮಸ್ಕಾರ ಎಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ.
ನಮಸ್ಕಾರ.
ಬ್ಯಾಂಗ್ಳೂರ್ ಟೋಸ್ಟ್ಮಾಸ್ಟರ್ಸ್ ಕ್ಲಬ್ ನ 1345ನೇ ಸಭೆಗೆ ಪ್ರಾರಂಭವಾಗಿ A very good evening, my dear fellow Toastmasters, our general evaluator, special guest, and our members. Welcome to the Bangalore Toastmasters Club, where we meet every Friday at 6:30 p.m. to learn more about our public speaking skills. The Toastmasters platform is probably the only platform where we work on the individual. We work together to bring out the best in each of us, and we help others in turn. So, to know more about Toastmasters, how many of you are first-time guests here? First-time guests. Great. May I request you to please stand up and say what brought you to the Bangalore Toastmasters Club? Your name and...
My name is Siddhant and I just heard of this club recently.
Okay.
And I just finished a degree in marketing BBA. So I wanted to learn more skills so that I can move forward in this.
Very good, very good. Welcome, welcome. Members, how do we welcome our guests? To know more about Toastmasters, you can meet with our Vice President Membership, Toastmaster Surekha, either during the break or after the meeting, and she will brief you about our club and the Toastmasters platform. The minutes of the meeting 1348 were circulated both on WhatsApp and on mail. Any amendments to the meeting?
No.
Minutes of the meeting? Shall we consider it as passed?
Yes.
I pass minutes of the meeting 1348. then Bangalore can definitely be called the cooling pot of cultures. How many of you are born in Karnataka? Oh, great, that's very 50%. And 50%, the other 50%, so we are born from different places there. If you see, in our club itself, the Toastmasters platform itself, we come from various cities, various cultural backgrounds, and we come together and work. Our diversity, as Sai Deepak said, is our biggest strength. Today I'd like to talk to you more about our executive committee, the committee which has been serving you for the last 4 months. I start with the Sergeant at Arms, that is Toastmaster Sai Deepak. Toastmaster Sai Deepak was born in Vijayawada, studied in Chennai. He did his engineering in Hyderabad, and then he moved on to do his masters in IIT Kharagpur. He worked in Pune, started his career, and then to Bangalore. Initially, when he started his Sergeant at Arms position, he was a bit nervous, but with consistent, every week coming over to the stage, he has improved his public speaking skills. The second officer is Toastmaster Bruno, who is our secretary. Our secretary is born in Malnad, and he moved to Bangalore over 20 years ago. In his house, he says that all of them are students, his children, his wife, and himself. So I asked him, what are you studying? So he said, I'm doing my second master's. My first master's was in computer science, and my second master's is in statistics. In our committee, he's the man with funny goals. We will be having a serious and intense discussion, team meet, and he with his wit, just one sentence, and all that seriousness will just diffuse. He says his only aim in Toastmasters at the moment is to beat Dr. DTM Rajdeep Manwani in a table topics. It can be at the club or at a contest, but his only aim is that. So I laughed and I said, seriously, Bruno? He says, yeah, man, seriously. And I'm working on it, he said. So I said, okay, all the best then. The third officer is Toastmaster Shashank Bhatt. He's our treasurer. He's born and brought up in Bangalore, but from Udupi. He's very good with numbers, he says. And he's a trainer of FAT. FAT has nothing to do with fitness, but he says FAT as in with finance, accounts, and taxation. He says he's a trainer for personality development. And with our treasurer, he's quite good with money and our expenses. The fourth officer is Toastmaster Abhirama, who's our VPPR. He's born in Shimoga, and he works for the semiconductor company, and his profile is a techno-commercial manager. So he says, I can balance between working with humans and machine. Both my EQ and my IQ needs to be on par. The fifth officer is our very own Vice President Membership, Toastmaster Surekha. Here's something interesting about Surekha ma'am. She was born in Kolhapur, and then in her teens she came to Bangalore, married. She's been here for the last 46 years. And soon as she got married, her father-in-law arranged for a tutor and asked her to learn Kannada, to read and write and speak. He said that if you don't understand the language, you will never get the feel of the land. And so she has learned. And in 5 months, when she went back to her mother's house for the first time, she says that instructor was very strict. He gave me all cassettes to keep listening to. She is the emotional glue of our team, of our committee and our club, I must say. We all look up to her for motivation, for inspiration, and she puts us at ease at any point in time. The sixth officer is my right hand. He's the architect of each and every meeting that happens here. He's the Vice President Education, Toastmaster Vaidya. He was born in Tanjore and moved to Bangalore over 20 years ago. He says he's a sector head for a beverage sector head in diversity. He's a pretty cool and calm guy. He does not react ever. I've never seen him react. And a very interesting fact about him is that he knows Kannada. And how does he know Kannada? He listens to the FM channel constantly, the Kannada FM channels on during whenever he's driving. So he's pretty good in Kannada. So my friends, this is the executive committee for you. With all our diversity, we are 3 science graduates, 2 engineers, 1 finance professional and 1 counselor. Together, we work in all our diversity. We put our hearts and minds together to move forward. Now, moving forward to the meeting, the TMOD of today, I'd like to introduce to you our Vice President Public Relations, who is doing the TMOD. A very, very interesting fact about him is that he loves Kannada. And how much he loves Kannada? He says in his 10th and 12th exam, out of 125 marks, guess how much he got?
124.
125? Okay. Okay. Another try. 123. So that was a 99% he got both in his 10th and 12th grades. Please join me to welcome Toastmaster Abhirama.
So I lost those 2 marks for bad handwriting. ಜೋಗದಸಿ ಬೆಳಕಿನಲ್ಲಿ ತುಂಗೆಯದನೆ ಬಳುಕಿನಲ್ಲಿ ಸಹ್ಯಾದ್ರಿಯ ಲೋಹದಲ್ಲಿರವು ತುಂಗದ ನಿಲುಕಿನಲ್ಲಿ ನಿತ್ಯ ಹರಿದ್ವರ್ಣವನದ ತೇಗ ಗಂಧ ಕರುಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ನಿತ್ಯೋತ್ಸವ ತಾಯಿ ನಿತ್ಯೋತ್ಸವ ನಿನಗೆ ನಿತ್ಯೋತ್ಸವ ತಾಯಿ ನಿತ್ಯೋತ್ಸವ ಇತಿಹಾಸದ ಹಿಮದಲ್ಲಿನ ಸಿಂಹಾಸನ ಮಾಲೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಗತ ಸಾಹಸ ಸಾರುತ್ತಿರುವ ಶಾಸನಗಳ ಸಾಲಿನಲ್ಲಿ ಓಲೆಗರಿಯ ಸಿರಿಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಬೇಗುಲಗಳ ಭಿತ್ತಿಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ನಿತ್ಯೋತ್ಸವ ತಾಯಿ ನಿತ್ಯೋತ್ಸವ ನಿನಗೆ ನಿತ್ಯೋತ್ಸವ ತಾಯಿ ನಿತ್ಯೋತ್ಸವ. ನಿಮ್ಮೆಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ಕನ್ನಡ ರಾಜ್ಯೋತ್ಸವದ ಶುಭಾಶಯಗಳು ಹಾಗೂ ಇಂದಿನ ವಿಶೇಷ ದ್ವಿಭಾಷಾ ಸಭೆಗೆ ಆದರದ ಸ್ವಾಗತ ಸುಸ್ವಾಗತ. Let me try to translate the meaning of the poem, if not the message, if not the emotions. The poem was composed by a famous Kannada poet, Nisar Ahmad. When he first visited the wonderful Jog Falls, he was mesmerized and started writing down a poem. He says that there is eternal celebration of his mother, that is Kannada Mate, in various forms, every day. If I were to translate what he says, there is eternal celebration in the grandeur of Joga, in the streams of the sacred river Tunga, in the prosperity of supreme Sahyadri hills, in the gigantic teak and sandalwood trees of evergreen forests, in the historical heights achieved by the renowned kings and queens of this land, in the inscriptions that narrate the foregone adventures of our ancestors, in the literary wealth on palm leaf inscriptions, temples built by the Hoysalas, the Chalukyas, the Pallavas, the Vijayanagara Empire. Oh my mother, there is eternal celebration. There is immortal festivity of your grace, elegance and beauty, my mother. Well, he says that there is eternal celebration, and why don't we celebrate here the Kannada Rajyotsava for one day in a year? And that is exactly what we are doing here today. We want to celebrate the diversity of language, culture, traditions, customs and rituals that this great land has to offer. When I first thought that we should have a bilingual meeting, I started sharing this with a few of my friends. So I went to my good friend Alok and said, hey Alok, we are going to have a bilingual meeting. You know what he said?
Hey, Monday series
He is from the Udupi background. Then after getting scolded by Alok, then I went to Shelpa. Hey, can we conduct a bilingual meeting? She is from Bangalore. She speaks Tulu. The distance between Udupi and Bangalore is 50 kilometers. And then I'm getting scolded by all these people. Then I went to my good friend Vijay Kalpundri. Hey, can we conduct a bilingual meeting? Typical North Karnataka. Then I went to Abhay Kotari. You know what he said? He's from Bangalore. He didn't say that, he told me, Macha, you can do some. So, even the Sabhanganadalli, ಎಷ್ಟು ವೈವಿಧ್ಯತೆ ಇದೆ ನೋಡಿ. Look at the diversity. We have 4 people, all from Karnataka, from different backgrounds, different culture, speaking such a different language. And there is a difference in the dialect if you go every 25 kilometers in this beautiful state of Karnataka. And this is the diversity that we are celebrating today. Let us play a quick game now. Okay, I have a few giveaways for you. I'm going to give you some to say in Kannada. Okay, one giveaway for translating. Nalige Nuligadu. Nalige Nuligadu. Yen hangandre? Mr. Alok gets made in Karnataka Nandini cookie. Okay? So Alok, you don't get another one. Huh? You cannot hijack everything. Yeah, Nalige Nuligadu. Nuligadu. Okay? Now I'll give the actual Nalige Nulige tongue twister. Who is up? The first person to raise his hand. Jeevan raise it. Let us say this 3 times. Okay? 3 times. Kappu Kukuma, Kempu Kukuma. Kappu Kukuma, Kempu Kukuma. Kappu Kukuma, Kempu Kukuma. Kappu Kukuma, Kempu Kukuma.
Kempu.
Amazing. Have one more. Two more. Next. Who next? Yeah, tongue twister. Next one. Nobody wants Nandini cookies now. Yeah. I'll give you an easy one. Okay, easy. Kannadam Katturiyante. Kannadam Katturiyante. No. Kannadam Katturiyante. Katturiyante. Katturiyante.
Kannadam Katturiyante. Kannadam Katturiyante. Kannadam Katturiyante.
This is going to be a little tough. Yeah,
Here,
Mr. Richard.
Okay.
Sampangappana maga mari sampangappa. Sampangappana maga mari sampangappa.
ಸಂಪಂಗಪ್ಪನ ಮಗ ಮರಿ ಸಂಪಂಗಪ್ಪ. ಸಂಪಂಗಪ್ಪನ ಮಗ ಮರಿ ಸಂಪಂಗಪ್ಪ. ಸಂಪಂಗಪ್ಪನ ಮಗ ಮರಿ ಸಂಪಂಗಪ್ಪ.
Thank you so much. Thank you, enthusiasm. I give one more. Who next? One more. Yes. You'll get the toughest. If you crack this, you'll get 2. Kage pukka, gubbi pukka. Kage pukka, gubbi pukka. Kage pukka, gubbi pukka. Kage pukka, gubbi pukka. Come on. At least twice.
Kage kukka, kubi kubbe kuppa. Okay, one more.
Kage kukka, kubi kukka.
Kage kuppa.
I love the effort. Well, if I were to talk about Toastmasters, there is such diversity in Toastmasters. In fact, Toastmasters International is the epitome of diversity. For the benefit of our guests, we have close to 300,000 members spread across 144 countries. Right? So it was founded in the year 1924 by a gentleman by name Ralph C. Smedley, with a goal of helping people improve their public speaking skills and leadership skills. Bangalore Toastmasters Club, being one of the oldest, finest and largest Toastmasters Club in India, was founded in the year 1997, and we strive to create a friendly atmosphere for our guests and members to hone their public speaking and leadership skills. So I welcome all the guests to this meeting, and this meeting is a special one. Normally we conduct meetings in English. Today, all of you have the liberty to use Kannada as much as you can. Okay? Use Kannada or English or both, like how I have been doing. So, today we have a distinguished Toastmaster as a guest. He's a veteran Toastmaster, I must say, has been a Toastmaster for more than 10 years. He's the charter president of Indiranagar Pride Toastmasters Club. He is here with us as the general evaluator. Please give a big round of applause to Mr. General Evaluator, Toastmaster Council. Let's give a big round of applause to Mr. He is assisted by a team of 3 members. We call it tag team. ಇವತ್ತು ಅವರನ್ನ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಬೇರೆ ರೀತಿ ಕರೆಯೋಣ, ಆಯ್ತಾ? ಮೊದಲನೇದಾಗಿ ಗ್ರಾಮರಿಯನ್ಗೆ ನಾನು ಇವತ್ತು ವ್ಯಾಕರಣ ತಜ್ಞೆ ಅಂತ ಕರೀತೀನಿ. Can you please explain your role?
Namaskaram. As grammarian, my role is to observe the good use of English and to provide constructive feedback on areas of improvement. I will be speaking about my observation towards the end of all the meetings, and I would also like to share the word of the day, myriad. Myriad meaning countless or extremely large number of things or people. Let me pass on my myriad wishes to all of you today.
Next, we have the R counter. So I asked my good friend Alok, what shall I call R counter? He said, Todal Nudi Takna. Beautiful stuff. Todal Nudi Takna, we have Toastmaster Sagar.
Hello, I'm the R counter today. I'll be looking for clutch words like and repeat words like so, I think, like, etc. Thank you.
ಧನ್ಯವಾದ ಸರ್. ಈಗ ನಮ್ಮ ತುಳುನಾಡಿನ ವೀರ ಮಹಿಳೆ ಶರ್ಮಾ ಅವರು ಸಮಯ ಪಾಲಕಿಯಾಗಿ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ.
ಸರ್ವರಿಗೂ ಆರ್ಥಿಕ ಶುಭಾಶಯಗಳು. ಇವತ್ತಿನ ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮಕ್ಕೆ ಹಾಜರಾಗಿದ್ದ ಎಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ನನ್ನ ಆತ್ಮೀಯತ ವಂದನೆಗಳನ್ನು ಕೋರುತ್ತೇನೆ. ಇವತ್ತು ನನ್ನ ಪಾತ್ರವೇನೆಂದರೆ, ನಾನು ಸಮಯವನ್ನು ಕಾಪಾಡಬೇಕು. ನಾವು ಸಮಯ ಮೀರಿ ಹೋಗಬಾರ್ದು. ನಮ್ಮ ಮೀಟಿಂಗನ್ನು ಸಮಯದಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು ಮುಗಿಸುವಂತೆ ನೋಡೋಣ. ಥ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಯು.
So, yes, we will have 3 segments in this meeting. The first segment is prepared speech segment. ಸಿದ್ಧಪಡಿಸಿದ ಭಾಷಣಕಾರರು ನಮ್ಮ ಮುಂದೆ ಪ್ರಸ್ತುತಪಡಿಸಲಿದ್ದಾರೆ. The second segment is table topics. ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಆಶು ಭಾಷಣ ವಿಭಾಗ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ. Third segment, the very popular segment, is called evaluation. It's unique to Toastmasters. ಮೌಲ್ಯಮಾಪನ ಅಥವಾ ವಿಮರ್ಶೆ. Right? It is headed by Toastmaster Council with the tag team and the evaluators. Okay? ಎಲ್ಲರೂ ತಯಾರಿದ್ದೀರಲ್ಲ? ಮೊದಲನೇ ವಿಭಾಗ ಸಿದ್ಧಪಡಿಸಿದ ಭಾಷಣಕ್ಕೆ ಹೋಗ್ಬೋದಾ? The first speaker, actually there is a little change in the order. The first speaker happens to be Toastmaster Richard D'Souza. ಅವರನ್ನ ನಾನು ಇಂಟ್ರೊಡ್ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಮೊದಲು ಅವರ ಇವ್ಯಾಲ್ಯೂಯೇಟರ್ನ ನಾನು ಅವರ ವಿಮರ್ಶಕರು ಯಾರು ಅಂತ ತಿಳಿಸ್ತೀನಿ. ಇವರು ನಿಮಗೆಲ್ಲ ಈಗ ಆಗಲೇ ಗೊತ್ತಾಗಿರ್ಬೋದು, ಕನ್ನಡ ಪಂಡಿತರು ಅಂತಾನೆ ಹೇಳ್ಬೋದು. ತುಂಬಾ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿ ಕನ್ನಡ ಭಾಷೆಯನ್ನು ತಿಳ್ಕೊಂಡಿರ್ತಾರೆ. ವೃತ್ತಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಸೇಲ್ಸ್ ಮ್ಯಾನೇಜರ್, ಪ್ರವೃತ್ತಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಒಬ್ಬ ಬ್ಲಾಗರ್, ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಒಬ್ಬ ಲೇಖಕ, ಕವಿ. But he loves to travel. Recently he came back from an expedition to Himalayan base camp, which is at 5,364 meters, if I'm not wrong. Toastmaster allo, ದಯವಿಟ್ಟು ಇವರ ಪ್ರಾಜೆಕ್ಟ್ ಗೈಡ್ಲೈನ್ಸ್ ಅನ್ನು ತಿಳಿಸ್ಕೊಡ್ಬೋದಾ?
ಧನ್ಯವಾದಗಳು ಅಭಿರಾಮ. ಎಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ರಾಜ್ಯೋತ್ಸವದ ಶುಭಾಶಯಗಳು. ಟೋಸ್ಟ್ ಮಾಸ್ಟರ್ ರಿಚರ್ಡ್ ಅವರು ಅವರ ಭಾಷಣದ ಉದ್ದೇಶ, ಅವರು ಮುಂಚೆ ಒಂದು ಭಾಷಣವನ್ನ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿರ್ತಾರೆ, ಆ ಭಾಷಣದಲ್ಲಿ ಅವರಿಗೆ ಸಲಹೆ ಸಿಕ್ಕಿರುತ್ತೆ. ಆ ಸಲಹೆಗಳನ್ನ ಅಳವಡಿಸಿಕೊಂಡು ಅವರು ಇವತ್ತಿನ ಭಾಷಣವನ್ನ ನೀಡುತ್ತಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಸೊ ದ ಸ್ಪೀಕರ್ ಇಸ್ ಆಲ್ರೆಡಿ ಅಡಾಪ್ಟೆಡ್ ದ ಸ್ಪೀಚ್ and he has received feedback in that speech. He will be applying that feedback in his today's speech. All the best to the speaker. Back to you.
ಧನ್ಯವಾದಗಳು. So our next speaker is a veteran Toastmaster, a retired bank executive, and he enjoys his spending time with his little granddaughter. In the last leg of his service as a bank executive at Vijaya Bank, he got an opportunity to extensively travel across Mysore, Mandya, Chikmagalur and Coorg, and even today he just cannot forget those memories. He used to visit the famous Bangalore Falls near Mandya, and he loved the paddy fields and the sugarcane fields over there. And he loves the diversity as well. He's giving a special speech today. It's on a real life incident. A close friend of Mr. Richard lost his wife. Mr. Richard was so devastated, and because he was very close to this family, a prayer meeting was organized at GM Rejoice Hotel in Malaysia. Nobody could speak a word because everyone was in great pain. And Mr. Richard gathered some courage, spoke a few words, and that day he volunteered to share the condolence message in that prayer meeting. And he is going to present that condolence speech in front of us today. With a big round of applause, ಜೋರಾದ ಚಪ್ಪಾಳೆಯೊಂದಿಗೆ ಸ್ವಾಗತಿಸೋಣ Toastmaster.
Dear ladies and gentlemen, whatever you love, you have to give it up sooner or later. But if it is snatched from you, the anguish generated is insurmountable. Situation is devastated. And today, all of us are having same melancholic atmosphere where we lost our near and dear Shubha. But we cannot continue in the same state of mind throughout. We have to think what next. In a similar situation, a young girl who loved her father too much had to lose him. Fate snatched him away from her, and she was so devastated. She was finding it so difficult to come out of grief. Therefore, through the columns of Deccan Herald, she requested the readers to suggest a way out. Suggestions given by one reader were really sensible. That gentleman told the person who is departed from us, he lives in two places. As preached to us in our scriptures, he lives with God. And the scriptures also say what has to be done for the repose of that soul. And today's meeting, prayer meeting, is one such arrangement where we pray for the repose of the soul of the departed. Secondly, the person who departed from us lives in our hearts and in our minds. We are all human beings. We can't forget the contribution of that person. As much as we try to put her out of our mind, her memory haunts us. But how to come out of it? The antidote for pain is action. We have to work. We have to forget ourselves in work. What kind of work? The work which was closer to the heart of the departed one. And all ladies and gentlemen, you know Shubha very well, how loving, affable and affectionate she was. She led a dedicated and devoted life. She looked after the welfare of everyone. She endeared herself because of her good qualities. Living the life as she led will be a greatest tribute paid by us. Oh, yes, the Shubha was such a lovely person. As if she was born to love and not to be loved, to serve and not to be served, to give and not to receive. Hospitality which she extended to the guest was really marvelous. She was staying next to my house. We were staying in twin houses, and I know how she labored hard to look after the needs of the guests. Our head office at Bangalore, so people used to come from throughout India, some work, and they used to stay in their home because during those days hotels were very costly and money was in short supply. She was such a marvelous person. And you know, gents, they go on chit-chatting till midnight, 12, but breakfast has to be ready next day at 7 a.m. She used to get up early at 5, sometimes even 3, and she was catering their requirements. Everyone remembers her. But she was also not without challenges. Her husband, Prashant, was enjoying compulsive card-playing syndrome. He used to spend all his spare time in clubs, not at house. At home, he was available only for giving suggestions and according approvals. Soon after marriage, Shubha tried to rain on him, and also she tried to exert some pressure to common friends and relatives. But Prashant stood his ground. He said that I am not given in writing that after marriage I will desist from playing cards. And Shubha took this by a stride, and later on whoever called her to inquire about Prashant, she would say, they have gone to play cards. And as I said, they were good hosts, and Prashant was better host. People used to come without prior notice, and till food happens, what to do? They had to have pets. Whiskey was always available, but not the snacks. Whenever wife informed him, he would say, Shubha, don't worry. Slice the onion nicely and bring it. She would slice the onion nicely, but she would put it to egg. She would fry a delectable egg and make omelette, and she would serve it very lightly. She was not only a housewife, but she was also an employed woman. She was working for Indian Overseas Bank. Her office was 40 kilometers away from Bangalore at Devanahalli. And she had to prepare everything. Tiffins of the children also had to be done, and tiffin of husband also had to be ready. And she used to eat her breakfast in bus if she got a seat. Otherwise, no breakfast. Happily, they have married their daughter Vandana to Abhay Joshi, and they are settled well in America. But the younger one, Varun, he was born after many years. He has now completed his architecture. He has looked for a girl, but not married yet. And it was the intention of Shubha to witness the nuptials of Varun. My dearest Prashant, Vandana, Abhay, and Varun, we have to take courage and move on. Usually, we are there with you. Our prayers are there with you, and we always remember Shubha in our prayers. And we also pray that God grants strength to all of you, and also the siblings of Shubha, to withstand this great tragedy. And yes, Shubha is living in the hearts and minds of all the people who are gathered here, and of plethora of people who have not come here. Her life is everlasting one. Therefore, I urge you to please take up your life forward as lived by Shubha. May her soul rest in peace.
Toastmaster Richard. I'm certain that those words of yours would have helped everyone on that occasion to gather some courage and overcome the grief that they all had. Thank you so much. Let us give it up for Toastmaster Richard. Moving on to the next speaker, let me introduce the evaluator first. So he is again a young and seasoned Toastmaster of Bangalore Toastmasters Club. By profession, he is a sales enabler at Vedantu, and he loves the diversity that the state of Karnataka has to offer. He goes on and he has visited many places in Karnataka. And you know his favorite holiday spot in Karnataka? Huh? You cannot miss. Silkboard. Because in Silkboard, during holidays there won't be any vehicles, so he loves to go and enjoy. So please welcome Toastmaster Ankit Kumar to share the project guidelines of the next speaker.
Thank you. The purpose of this project of the speaker is to learn the basic research methods and present a well-organized, well-researched speech on any topic. Timer, please note the time limit is 5 to 7 minutes. All the best.
ಈಗ ಇವರ ಹತ್ರ ಈತಾನೆ ಬಯಸ್ಕೊಂಡಿದ್ದೇನೆ ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಸ್ಪೀಕರ್ ಅಂತ ಟಿಪಿಕಲ್ ನಾರ್ತ್ ಕರ್ನಾಟಕ ಶೈಲಿ. He is born and brought up in Karnataka. He stayed in Ballari, Hubballi, Dharwad, Bangalore, and then he came to Bangalore. He has been living here for many years now. He is an engineer by profession and loves to travel, swim and run. And again, a very proud Kannadian accent. You can get it by the way he is dressed up today. Please welcome Toastmaster Vijay Kalkundri for a speech titled Zigzag Effect. Trigger that effect, Toastmaster effect.
How many of you here have ever been in a situation on a Friday evening where you are thinking of that incomplete task that you have to do on a Monday morning? How many of you here have ever been in a situation on a Friday evening, sitting here thinking of that incomplete speech you want to prepare for your next prepared speech? Or how many of you here have been in that situation where you are thinking of that incomplete book you could not read on one of the weekends? And all the other people who have been thinking of all the other incomplete tasks sitting here at any point in time, welcome to all these Zeigarnik effect victims. Mr. Toastmasters, fellow Toastmasters, and my dear Zeigarnik victims of today, good evening.
Good evening.
Russian psychologist and psychiatrist Luma Zeigarnik is a person on whom this name Zeigarnik effect comes from. In 1920, when Zeigarnik was visiting the restaurant, she saw something strange. She saw that the waiters there were able to remember complex orders and unpaid bills until they were paid or served together, because once they were served or the bill was paid, they are not able to recollect the final details of that particular order. Intrigued, she went back to her lab and decided to do an experiment. She called a set of 138 children and gave them very small tasks which included solving puzzles, arithmetic problems. And what she did was, after the 50% of the task was completed, she asked them to stop that activity. She went back to those kids after 1 hour to ask them details of the task. And she realized that 110 out of those 138 children were able to recollect the incomplete task much better than whatever they had completed. The incomplete task had left a lasting impression on their brain. That's how the Zeigarnik effect comes into picture. It is realized that Zeigarnik effect is due to reward expectancy, motivation, time of interruption, and the achievement of the task. That's what draws people towards the effects of Zeigarnik effect. Now, from the theory, let's bring it to the practicality. Zeigarnik effect is employed in the current different industries in different forms. Let me give some examples. Whenever you are filling the applications online and you are filling it to your profile, it says 67% of your profile is complete. Why do they say so? Because they want to tell you that only 23% of the profile you need to complete, and then you need not look at the task again. They have used the positive side of the Zeigarnik effect. Let me take you towards the entertainment industry. The blockbuster of blockbuster picture Bahubali 1 had this ending. Why did Katappa kill Bahubali? Now, this was an incomplete message. It left people thinking, Bahubali was close to Katappa, why did he kill him? So now people want to know what happens in the second part, and hence Bahubali 2 was a blockbuster hit which broke a lot of charts. Now, coming to the reality, let me tell you a real-time incident. The other day I was sitting at the last with Toastmaster Ankit, and there was a toast on his mobile which said that Puneet has a new friend called Susu. Now Ankit, who was focused at the prepared speech, was intrigued to go into the Facebook and see who is this new friend Puneet has. And that's one of the Zeigarnik effect. Now that's how the Facebook is pulling Ankit towards the Facebook. And my own experience, on one of these Saturday afternoons, when I had completed my lunch and I was relaxing, it was drizzling outside. And one of the food aggregating app pop up a message saying that, would you like to have pakoras with dipping hot tea? I had just completed my lunch. And then there was a following pop-up which said that we will deliver it in 10 minutes. Here I am. I was victim of Zeigarnik effect and I had to order it. It was raining outside. I had completed my lunch. This is how Zeigarnik effect has engulfed ourselves. It also talks a lot of things about how our memory works. Whenever we get information, it goes into the first zone of the memory that's called sensory memory. And when we pay attention to that memory, that data goes from the sensory memory to short-term memory. So that stays in the short-term memory for some time. And if you are able to work repeatedly on that particular aspect of the information, it moves from the short-term memory to a long-term memory. So this is how Zeigarnik effect. If you are able to work out the information of moving to different zone quickly, then you have conquered the Zeigarnik effect. So let me give you a 4-step formula that will help you to manage yourself from this Zeigarnik effect and how to make it positive for yourself. First, complete the task. So whenever you get a task, you have to divide those tasks into so many small molecular tasks so that you can tackle them. And when you tackle them, you accomplish them. So that must be your first strategy. It's called C of the formula CAM. Second is A. A is for award and reward yourself. So who does not like awards? So we need to reward ourselves whenever we completed a particular task. It can be as small as seeing a YouTube video or going out for a stroll or taking your mobile and talking to one of your friends. So that can be a way of awarding yourself. Whenever you complete a task, award yourself. M. Mental well-being is very important. And how to do that? You have to work on your mental strength so that you increase your focus levels. How do you do that? You engage in one of the activities or sports, or you do something what a lot of people do, yoga, do some meditation. So you need to increase your focus level so that you do not become victim to the Zeigarnik effect. P for procrastination conquered. So anyone who wants to conquer your procrastination thing, you need to conquer it. Like how do you do that? You need to ensure that when you have worked on all these 3 things above, you obviously are heading towards becoming procrastination. Because any of these tasks, if you do not address today, it's going to become a hill in front of you, and sooner or later you have to address it. So when you become a conqueror of the procrastination, you take the positive side of this Zeigarnik effect. So all in all, my dear friends, Zeigarnik effect is going to be there in your life. You would have seen it before, you would have been encountering it currently, or you'll see it in the future. The only way to emerge a victorious out of the Zeigarnik effect is following the CAM formula. Let me repeat it for you. C for complete the task, A for award yourself, M for mental well-being, P for procrastination conqueror. So I wish all of you emerge victorious out of the Zeigarnik effect wherever you are. Back to the
ಧನ್ಯವಾದಗಳು ಮಿಸ್ಟರ್ Zeigarnik. I can very well recollect this Zeigarnik effect. ನಾನು ಇಂಜಿನಿಯರಿಂಗ್ ಓದಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ 2 ದಿವಸ ಮಧ್ಯ ಗ್ಯಾಪ್ ಇರ್ತಿತ್ತು. ಆ 2 ದಿವಸ ಗ್ಯಾಪಲ್ಲಿ ಇಡೀ ಸಿಲೆಬಸ್ ಓದಿರ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೆ. ರಾತ್ರಿ ಎಲ್ಲ ಕೂತ್ಕೊಂಡು ಆ ಎಕ್ಸಾಮ್ ಮುಗಿತಿದ್ದಂಗೆ ನನಗೆ ಅದೆಲ್ಲ ನೆನಪಿರ್ತಿರ್ಲಿಲ್ಲ, ಎಲ್ಲ ಹೋಗ್ಬಿಡ್ತೇನೆ. That's because of Zeigarnik. Thank you so much, Toastmaster Vijay. Moving on to the next speaker. So let me introduce the evaluator. This person owns a company by name Practico, and this company organizes industrial visits for college students, and he's the tech wizard behind all the birthday messages that we get on our WhatsApp group. So please welcome Toastmaster Jeevan to read out the guidelines for the next speaker.
Learn the basic structure of the speech. Find out, please,
Thank you. Thank you. The next speaker is attempting his first speech, the icebreaker. So now ಹೆಚ್ಚೇನು ಇವರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಹೇಳೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಹೋಗಲ್ಲ. So let him reveal himself in front of us. Please welcome Toastmaster Abhinandan for a speech titled A Full Circle. A Full Circle. Toastmaster Abhinandan.
The Toastmasters movement has crossed paths with me not once, not twice, but 3 times in my life. The first time was around 2004 when my father nudged me to join this very club, the Bangalore Toastmasters Club, with infinite wisdom, and he threatened to withhold my allowance if I did not, so I had to. Back then, Bangalore Toastmasters Club was sort of an exclusively formal affair, so we would have to come to the meetings informal. So I would show up at college every Friday in formal clothes and have to explain to my college mates what the Toastmasters movement was. It was a fun time. Fellow Toastmasters and distinguished guests. I was a very mischievous kid. At school, all I can remember is standing in the corner or outside the door, punished. Back then, a couple of things occupied my attention. I would be out playing. I'd be playing any sport that was going, or I'd be at home reading. In fact, I would read so much that my librarians would be distrustful about whether I actually read the book or not. Jumping ahead, so the first time I joined Toastmasters was around the time I joined my undergraduate degree. At this point in time in my life, I was kind of clueless. I had chosen the chemical engineering stream because I just happened to be good at chemistry at that point. And it turned out that chemical engineering had nothing to do with chemistry, or not much to do with chemistry. So it goes, I suppose. Between the first and second stints at Toastmasters, a lot of experiences influenced and shaped my life. In college, I did the usual. Crammed before exams, partied after. I attended a lot of fests. I made a lot of friends to be part of the cultural committee. And at college, I learned Kannada. I learned to speak Kannada well for the first time. I mean, I'd known Kannada because we learned it in school, and I'm from Bangalore, but learning to speak it well was in college. So that was a very great experience for me. Subsequent to college, I joined my first job as a researcher at Unilever R&D. And in this job, I researched and developed water purifiers and skincare formulations. This was a very formative period of my life. I learned to, I discovered a scientific bent of mind in me, and it turned out that it was the place I needed to be. I was an extremely curious person, and my disposition was that of a scientist. And it so happened that my choice of chemical engineering led me to the place I had to be. Some years later, after this journey as a scientist and a researcher, I decided that I had to move on. So I moved to Hyderabad for an MBA. This was the first time I was living outside of home, and it was a very interesting experience. I did not miss home so much because I met so many people from all over the country. I met people from, I made friends from Bombay, Delhi, Calcutta, Hyderabad, Chennai, smaller cities like Baroda and Durgapur for the first time in my life. So it was an experience that helped me understand myself more and helped me understand our beautiful country even more. So this brings me to the second time I joined Toastmasters. This was in the year 2018, and by this time, many of my childhood habits had left me. I had stopped playing sport many years back. I was barely reading a few books here, mostly because I think we've had distractions like Netflix and whatnot that take up all the time. So I moved back to Bangalore after my MBA and I was looking for a job, and that's when I joined Toastmasters for the second time. This was DJ's Toastmasters Club, with the idea that I would be able to perform better in interviews if I was a part of Toastmasters. And that happened to be a good omen, and almost immediately I got a job and I had to move to Delhi. And unfortunately, the rigors of the job kept me away from Toastmasters in Delhi. But I had a very interesting job. I work with, I still have the same job. I work with Reddit, and I'm in charge of discovering new technologies that the company can commercialize. And living in Delhi meant that I had a lot of opportunities to travel. I traveled all across. I saw Rajasthan, Uttarakhand, Himachal, all the neighboring states. I even went to the Kumbh Mela, which was a really wonderful experience. Subsequently, the pandemic brought me back home, and I figured that this time, staying at home, I figured that I needed to reevaluate my life. So, over the last couple of years, I have taken steps to go back in time, discover the habits of my childhood. Like I started playing sport, I started reading books. In the year 2021, I read 50 books, and I have played three or four times in a week. And I also worked on coming up with strategies to digital detox, and I've implemented them, and I'm proud to admit that I've not had a social media app on my phone for the past 1.5 years. I restricted to the laptop, and I have a separate laptop for it. Anyway, finally, this is my third time at Toastmasters, and I'm back at the club I started out with. I'm back doing the many things I started out life doing. Life has come a full circle in ways more than one. Over to you, Toastmasters.
Thank you so much, Abhinandan. The last point that you mentioned, that you don't use social media. I just cannot survive. That's oh, there is someone else also. Thank you so much, Abhinandan. It was a fantastic speech, and we're glad to have you in our club. So before we move to the next segment, we have a networking link. Is the voting link shared? Yeah. The voting link is shared on the WhatsApp group for the best speaker. The password is, yes, password. Kannada. K-A-N-N-A-D-A. Kannada. Okay, that's the password. And we take a quick 5-minute break. Okay, so it's 7:28 now. We'll start sharp at 7:33. Okay, see you on the other side. Thank you.
Okay.
ಕರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಇತ್ತು, ಏನು ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್ ಇಲ್ಲ. ನೀವು 8 minutes 5 seconds ಅಲ್ಲ, ಆ್ಯಕ್ಚುಲಿ ಅದು ಎಕ್ಸಾಮ್ 9 minutes ಮತ್ತು ಅವರು ಹೇಳಿದ್ರು 6 minutes ಅಂತ. ಯಾರು ಟೈಮ್ 9 minutes ತಗೊಂಡೆ ನಿಮಗೆ.
ದಯವಿಟ್ಟು ಎಲ್ಲರೂ ಆಸೀನರಾಗಿ. ಹಲೋ ಚಿರಣ್, ಅಂಕಿತ್, ದಯವಿಟ್ಟು ಆಸೀನರಾಗಿ. ಸುಹಾಸ್, ವಿಶ್ವನಾಥ್. So the next segment is called table topics, right? Ashu Bhashana. In this segment, you get to choose a topic and think on your feet and then present a speech for 1 to 1.5 minutes. Okay? The person who is going to take us through this table topic speech has been a member of this club for quite some time, and she has so much diversity at her home. Her mother's mother tongue is Telugu. Her father's mother tongue is Marathi. She is born and brought up in Bangalore. Now you talk about diversity. She loves to go on long road trips, and she has almost visited every part of the state. ಇವರು ಒಮ್ಮೆ ಹಂಪಿಗೆ ಹೋದಾಗ ಇವ್ರಿಗೆ ಎಷ್ಟು ಇವರಿಗೆ ಸಂತೋಷ ಆಗಿತ್ತು ಅಂದ್ರೆ she developed a deep fascination for art, culture and history of Karnataka. That's the power of Vijayanagara Empire, Hampi. Please put your hands together. ಜೋರಾದ ಚಪ್ಪಾಳೆಯೊಂದಿಗೆ ಸ್ವಾಗತಿಸೋಣ Toastmaster ಪ್ರಿಯಾಂಕಾ.
ನಿಮ್ಮೆಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ನಮಸ್ಕಾರ.
ನಮಸ್ಕಾರ.
ಮುಂದಿನ ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮ ತುಂಬಾ ರೋಮಾಂಚನವಾಗಿ ಇರುತ್ತದೆ. A very good evening, fellow Toastmasters and your guests. This session is a very interesting session, and for the benefits to the guests, am I audible?
Yes.
For the benefits of guests, let me tell you what this session is all about. The table topic session is an impromptu session, a session that will tickle your brains and nerves and help you think on your feet. So as a table topic master, I will present a topic and call upon someone, and you will be given 1.5 minutes and you can share your thoughts on it. Basically, the purpose of this entire session is to help you all collect your thoughts, organize them and present them to all of us, so that in future if you ever come across a situation like this, it would help you. So are you all ready?
Yes.
Okay, now the first topic. Coaches are your external eyes and ears. Let me repeat. Coaches are your external eyes and ears. And the topic goes to Toastmaster Alan Arana.
Coaches are your external eyes and ears. Honestly, when this topic was given to me, I had no idea what I was going to say. So I came here as slowly as possible until I came here, and one person came to mind, and that person, I'll reveal the name in the end, but basically what happened is I was forced to come into Toastmasters, by the way. Just to tell you my journey, I was forced to come to Toastmasters because I felt I know English. I'm from an English medium school. school. Why do I need to come to a place like Toastmasters? And I was supposed to come here by none other than Mr. Robinson D'Souza, who's responsible for many of you all sitting here today, because he must have forced you all. So when I came here, I was like, this is not going to help me, right? How is it going to help me? But then as I sat there, I was like, I can't get on stage, right? And Robinson, introduced me to this one person who is no more, called Alan Watson, who used to be my mentor. And the reason I was, the reason I bring him up today is because sometimes a person can bring out the best in you even though you do not think of yourself as the best. And I remember every time I used to practice with him, he used to push me to do much better, and that's why I relate a lot to that topic, and thank you for it.
Thank you, Alan. I think the story would be same of mine. Even when I came here, I was wondering why, but then I realized the importance of this entire place. Now the next topic, as you all know, this is a bilingual meeting, so the next topic is in Kannada. So it is Arogya Ve Bhagya. Arogya Ve Bhagya. And the next topic goes to Toastmaster Umakant.
ಧನ್ಯವಾದಗಳು ಪ್ರಿಯಾಂಕಾ.
You can do all the translation meaning. If not, I will translate the meaning.
ಆರೋಗ್ಯವೇ ಭಾಗ್ಯ ಅಂತ ಟಾಪಿಕ್ ನಮಗೆ ಬಂದಿದೆ. It is important that health is very important for a person. Until you maintain a proper health and you have a good, that helps you to have a good thought process. ನೀವು ಯಾವತ್ತು ಒಳ್ಳೆ ಯೋಚನೆ ಮಾಡ್ತೀರೋ ಅವತ್ತು ನಿಮ್ಮ ಕೆಲಸಗಳು ಒಳ್ಳೆಯದಾಗುತ್ತದೆ. ನೀವು ಏನು ಆಸೆ ಪಡ್ತೀರಾ ಅದು ಒಳ್ಳೆಯದಾಗುತ್ತೆ. ನನ್ನ ಜೀವನದಲ್ಲಿ ಮೊದಲು ನಾನು ಒಂದು ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ತುಂಬಾ ಸೋಬೇರಿಯಾಗಿದೆ. ಚಿಕ್ಕವಳಿರೋ ತುಂಬಾ ಆಟ ಆಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೆ. ಆದ್ರೆ ಒಂದು ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಬೆಳೀತಾ, as I grew up, I stopped these things and I was a bit lazy. That impacted me. And at later stage I realized ಆರೋಗ್ಯ ಎಷ್ಟು ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್ ಅಂತ. ನಾನು ಹೊರಗಡೆ ಹೋಗಿ ಜಿಮ್ಗೆನೋ ಹೋದೆ, ವಾಕಿಂಗ್ ಓಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ. ಸದ್ಯಕ್ಕೆ ನನ್ನ ಹೆಲ್ತ್ ತುಂಬಾ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿದೆ, ಗಾಡ್ ಬ್ಲೆಸ್. ಸೊ ಆರೋಗ್ಯನೇ ಭಾಗ್ಯ. It helps you in a lot of good things in life. I'm sure. Please take care of your health. It's going to help everyone around you. Thank you.
I guess we all get, only when there's a trigger point, we all get very conscious about our health. Otherwise, we take it very lightly. Okay, so the next topic. Poor health begins in the mind. Poor health begins in the mind. And this topic goes to Rashi.
Poor health begins with mind. I think, doesn't everyone say that what you think you become? So immediately when you begin your day, if you start with negative thinking, your brain automatically starts with the negative side, and everything during the day goes bad. So I believe that you should always think positive, spread positivity around, stay happy so that your mind is happy and eventually your day begins to go happily. And it is said that when you
Thank you, Rashi. So the next topic. Maatu Belli, Mauna Bangara. Maatu Belli, Mauna Bangara. And this topic goes to Chillins.
ಸೊ ಮಾತು ಬೆಳ್ಳಿ ಮೌನ ಬಂಗಾರ. ಸೊ ಎಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಇದ್ದವರಿಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತು ಬೆಳ್ಳಿ ಎಷ್ಟು ಪ್ರೈಸ್ ಇದೆ, ಬಂಗಾರ
ಎಷ್ಟು ಪ್ರೈಸ್ ಇದೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು. ಸೊ ಈವನ್ ಯಾರಾದರೂ 1 kg ಬೆಳ್ಳಿ ಕೊಟ್ಟು ಅಥವಾ 100 ಗ್ರಾಮ್ ಬಂಗಾರ ಕೊಟ್ಟರೆ ಎಲ್ಲರೂ ಬಂಗಾರದ ಕಡೆನೇ ಓಡಾಡ್ತಾರೆ, ಬಂಗಾರದ ಕಡೆನೇ ಓಡೋಗ್ತಾರೆ. ಸೊ ಇದ್ರ ಮೀನಿಂಗ್ ಏನು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಇಟ್ಸ್ ನಾಟ್ ಅಬೌಟ್ ದ ಪ್ರೈಸ್. ಮಾತು ಬೆಳ್ಳಿ, ಮೌನ ಬಂಗಾರ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ನೀವು ಮಾತಾಡೋದು ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲ. ಸೊ ನೀವು ಥಿಂಕ್ ಮಾಡಿಬಿಟ್ಟು ಮಾತಾಡೋದು ತುಂಬ ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್. ಸೊ ಯಾವಾಗ ನಿಮಗೆ ಅದು ಲೈಕ್ ಇನ್ ಟರ್ಮ್ಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಲೈಕ್ ವೆನ್ ಯು ಆರ್ ಕನ್ಫ್ರಂಟಿಂಗ್ ಸಮ್ಮನ್, ಆ ಟೈಮಲ್ಲಿ ನೀವೇ ಮಾತಾಡೋದಕ್ಕೂ ಬೆಟರ್ ಅನಿಸುತ್ತೆ ಮೌನವಾಗಿರೋದು. ಯಾಕಂದರೆ ಅದರಿಂದ ನಿಮಗೂ ಶಾಂತಿ ಇರುತ್ತೆ, ದಿ ಆಪೋಸಿಷನ್ ಪರ್ಸನ್ ಅವನಿಗೂ ಶಾಂತಿ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ ಏನಾದರೂ ಒಂದು ನಿಮ್ಮ ಮಧ್ಯ ವೈಮನಸ್ಸು ಉಂಟಾಗೋದಿದ್ರೆ ಸೊ ಇಟ್ ವಿಲ್ ಗೋ ಆಫ್. ಸೊ that is my message. Over to you.
Thank you, sir. So the next topic, if you become the Chief Minister of Karnataka for a day, what would you do? If you become the Chief Minister of Karnataka for a day, what would you do? And this topic goes to Puneet.
Doesn't help that I'm seeing the CM 3 times this week in an event. ಎಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ನಮಸ್ಕಾರ. ಕನ್ನಡ ರಾಜ್ಯೋತ್ಸವದ ಶುಭಾಶಯಗಳು. ನಾನು ಕರ್ನಾಟಕದ CM ಆದರೆ ನನ್ನ ಕೆಲಸ ತುಂಬ ಸುಲಭ. ಬೆಂಗಳೂರು ಕಡೆ ನೋಡುವಾಗಿಲ್ಲ 5 ವರ್ಷ. ಏಕೆಂದರೆ ಇಡೀ ಕರ್ನಾಟಕದಲ್ಲಿ ಅತ್ಯುತ್ತಮವಾಗಿ ಬೆಳೆದಿರೋ ಪ್ರದೇಶ ಅಂದರೆ ಬರೀ ಬೆಂಗಳೂರೇ. ಮಿಕ್ಕಿದ ಎಲ್ಲ ಡಿಸ್ಟ್ರಿಕ್ಟ್ಗಳು, ಜಿಲ್ಲೆಗಳು, ಪಂಚಾಯಿತಿಗಳು ಬೆಳೆದೇ ಇಲ್ಲ. ನೀವು ಬೆಂಗಳೂರಿಗಿಂತ 50 ಕಿಲೋಮೀಟರ್ ದೂರ ಹೋದ್ರೆ ನಿಮಗೆ ವೈಫೈ ಸಿಗಲ್ಲ, ಊಟ ಸರಿಯಾಗಿ ಸಿಗಲ್ಲ, ರೋಡ್ ಸರಿ ಇಲ್ಲ, ಅಲ್ಲಿ ವ್ಯವಸಾಯ ಏನೂ ಇಲ್ಲ, ಆಪರ್ಚುನಿಟೀಸ್ ಇಲ್ಲ, ಎಲ್ಲ ಬೆಂಗಳೂರಲ್ಲೇ ಇದೆ. ಆ ಥರ ಬೆಳೆಯಿದ್ರೆ ನಾವು ಒಕ್ಕಟ್ಟಾಗಿ ಬೆಳೆಯೋಕ್ಕಾಗಲ್ಲ. ಇಡೀ ಕರ್ನಾಟಕ ಬೆಂಗಳೂರು ಬಂದ್ಬಿಟ್ಟಿದೆ, ಇಡೀ ದೇಶ ಬೆಂಗಳೂರು ಬಂದ್ಬಿಟ್ಟಿದೆ. ಆದರೆ ಇವಾಗ ನನ್ನ 5 ವರ್ಷದಲ್ಲಿ ನಮ್ಮ ಇಡೀ ಇಂಡಿಯಾ ಬೆಂಗಳೂರಿಂದ ಕರ್ನಾಟಕಕ್ಕೆ ಬರಬೇಕು. ಕರ್ನಾಟಕದಲ್ಲಿ ಇರೋ ಚಿಕ್ಕ ಪ್ರಾಂತ್ಯಗಳು, ದೊಡ್ಡ ಪ್ರದೇಶಗಳು ಅದು ಬೆಳಿಬೇಕು. ಇಲ್ಲಾಂದ್ರೆ ಇದು ಶಾರ್ಟ್ ಟರ್ಮ್ ಸಕ್ಸಸ್ ತರ ಆಗ್ಬಿಡುತ್ತೆ. ನಾವೇನು 5 ವರ್ಷ ಏನು ಬೆಳಿಬಹುದು, ಗುಜರಾತ್ನ ಮೀಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು, ಇಡೀ ಇಂಡಿಯಾ, ಇಡೀ ವರ್ಲ್ಡ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಸ್ಟಾರ್ಟ್ಅಪ್ ಕ್ಯಾಪಿಟಲ್ ಇರ್ಬೋದು. ಆದ್ರೆ ನಮ್ಮ ಇಡೀ ಸ್ಟೇಟ್, ನಮ್ಮ ಇಡೀ ನಾಡು ಬೆಳೆಯಲ್ಲ. ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಇವತ್ತು ರಾಜ್ಯೋತ್ಸವ ದಿವಸ ನಮ್ದಿದೆ ಭಾವನೆ. ನಾವು ಬೆಳಿಬೇಕಂದ್ರೆ ಒಟ್ಟಿಗೆ ಬೆಳಿಬೇಕು. ಎಲ್ಲ ಸ್ಟೇಟ್ಸ್, ಎಲ್ಲ ಡಿಸ್ಟ್ರಿಕ್ಟ್, ಎಲ್ಲ ಜಿಲ್ಲೆಗಳು, ಎಲ್ಲ ಪ್ರಾಂತ್ಯಗಳು ಒಕ್ಕೂಟಾಗಿ ಬೆಳಿಬೇಕು. ಬರೀ ಸ್ಪೆಷಲ್ ಡಿಸ್ಟ್ರಿಕ್ಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲೇ ನಾವು ಗಮನ ಕೊಟ್ಟರೆ ಬೆಳೆಯಕ್ಕಾಗಲ್ಲ. ಮಿಕ್ಕಿದ ಪ್ರದೇಶಗಳನ್ನು ನೋಡಬೇಕು. ನೀವೆಲ್ಲರೂ ಸಹಾಯ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ವರ್ಕ್ ಫ್ರಮ್ ಹೋಮ್ ಇರಲಿ, ಅಥವಾ ವೈಫೈ ಟೆಕ್ನಾಲಜಿ ಇರಲಿ, IT ಟೆಕ್ನಾಲಜಿ ಇರಲಿ, BT ಟೆಕ್ನಾಲಜಿ ಇರಲಿ, ಅದೆಲ್ಲ ಪ್ರಾಂತ್ಯಕ್ಕೆ ಕರ್ಕೊಂಡು ಹೋಗ್ಬೇಕು ನಾವು. ಆವಾಗ ನಮ್ಮ ನಾಡು ಬೆಳೆಯುತ್ತೆ. ಥ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಯು.
I hope when you got the opportunity to meet the Chief Minister, you have shared your thoughts with me. The next topic is Kavya Kave Kailasa. Kavya Kave Kailasa. And this topic goes to Toastmaster Ratul Chetty.
Kavya Kave Kailasa.
You know, if work is fun, then you don't have to work for a single day. It's not said by me, of course, it's said by somebody else. But I truly believe, I believe in 2 things. One is about freedom and the second is about happiness. And what is freedom? Freedom is doing what you like. And that is the ideal situation. Everybody, each one of us likes to do what we like to do, right? But liking what you do is the difficult part, you know. And then we can even look at the Zeigarnik effect. What is the Zeigarnik effect? The Zeigarnik effect, which Toastmaster Vijay spoke about, is about making your work lovable. And liking what you do is nothing but happiness. You know, happiness is liking what you do. And when you are able to make the work in such a way that you like doing it, then it is, you raise it to a level, then you bring in quality to the kind of work you do by bringing it to the exact specifications that the work is supposed to be done in. And then it becomes worship. Then it becomes divine. So I think that work is worship, and it's about moving from that freedom concept to the happiness concept and really enjoying what you do. And then work becomes worship.
I hope we all realize this, because I'm sure most of us do it sometimes with the heck of it. With the next topic, when I'm feeling anxious or stressed, I turn to. When I'm feeling anxious or stressed, I turn to Naomi.
When I feel anxious or stressed, the first thing I would like to do is go and sit alone and think about it. It doesn't help at all. So I usually like listening to music. It helps a lot. Or reading a book. I really like reading books, and I think it just helps calm your mind and think about things you like, and just go put your mind into a new place and something more adventurous. I also like watching movies. Netflix is my favorite thing. So that's what I like to do.
True. Distraction is the best way to get over stress or anxiousness. So the next topic, Ati Ase Gati Devi. Ati Ase Gati Devi. And this topic goes to Shashank.
So, you have seen a maze, right? There was a mirror maze. So, a developing country started this concept of having a mirror maze. And you know how a maze is covered with bricks or walls. In this case, it was made of glass. And it was a new attraction. There was a dog which used to roam around. It noticed that the back door was open. So it always wanted to go inside and see what is inside, what is there on the other side. It was happy with what it had, but it wanted more. Then one day, it pounced on a cat. It bit the cat, sneaked in through the back door. And once it went in, it noticed that there are 20 dogs and 20 cats. Now it became greedy. What did the dog do? It thought, I will chase away all the dogs and take all the 20 cats and I will eat them up. It didn't know that it was a maze, right? It started attacking, it started hitting the walls with full aggression. It started bleeding, but it still never gave up. It hit the walls, it even broke a few glasses just to capture the other cats, but then, after excessive bleeding, it passed away. So what did we understand from this? You have one cat to eat, the dog I'm talking about, you have one cat to eat, be happy with it. Why are you poking your nose in others' matter? It wanted all 20 cats to eat alone, and it eventually, what happened? It succumbed to its own, greed. So what you...
Thank you, Shashank. Okay, the next topic. If you could give every person a gift in the world, what it would be? If you could give every person a gift in the world, what it would be? Toastmaster Sureka.
So if I could give a gift to the world, it would today be the gift of religious tolerance. So let me tell you all a story. In the 1970s, I met a Hindu man. He was Ramacharya, Veda Pandit Ramacharya. And I met a Muslim man who was Mormon. And these two were the best of friends. And every day in my village of Chikodi near Kolhapur, they would meet at a chai shop and discuss about religious matters. And Ramacharya would discuss about the Vedas, and Muhammad would discuss about the Holy Quran. And they never had debates, they never argued, they never had any fights or confrontations. They shared through learning, through sharing, through enlightening themselves by exchanging each other's views. And I said, how is this possible? Because that was a time of religious strife. And I said, when two communities are fighting against each other, how is it that you both are the best of friends? And you know what? I was stunned by Ramacharya's answer. He said, he gave me an analogy. He said, a dog always recognizes its master, isn't it? Regardless of what clothes the dog is wearing. Even if the master is wearing a tracksuit, a jumpsuit, a swimsuit, a night suit, a tuxedo, a pajama and trousers, or a jeans, the dog will always recognize its master, isn't it? Why? Because there is a transaction, a commerce of hearts between the master and the dog. And then, when we see our Lord, and we see our master in different dresses, talking to different people in different languages, in different countries, what can we learn from the dog? To love our master and to continue the spirit of religious tolerance. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am, for these wonderful words. The last topic, Manasiddhare Marga. Manasiddhare Marga. And this topic goes to Toastmaster Abhay.
Good evening, fellow Toastmasters and guests. ಇವತ್ತು ನನಗೆ ವಿಷಯ ಸಿಕ್ಕಿರೋದು ಮನಸ್ಸಿದ್ರೆ ಮಾರ್ಗ, which means where there is a will, there is definitely a way. And whenever I think about this, or whenever I'm down, there is a certain poem that was written in Hindi, which is called कोशिश करने वालों की कभी हार नहीं होती. So I'm going to recite that poem for you. It says, लहरों से डरकर नौका पार नहीं होती, कोशिश करने वालों की कभी हार नहीं होती. नन्ही चींटी जब दाना लेकर चढ़ती है, चढ़ती दीवारों पर 100 बार फिसलती है. मन का विश्वास, रगों में साहस भरता है. चढ़कर गिरना, गिरकर चढ़ना, ना उसे अखरता है. उसकी मेहनत आखिर बेकार नहीं होती, कोशिश करने वालों की कभी हार नहीं होती. डुबकियां सिंधु में गोताखोर लगाता है, बार बार जाकर खाली हाथ लौटाता है. मन का विश्वास उसका टूटता नहीं लहरों से, आखिर मोती हाथ उसके लग ही जाता है. इसी प्रकार कोशिश करने वालों की कभी हार नहीं होती. I am sorry, I forget the lines, but the last few lines are something like this. कुछ किए बिना ही किसी की जय जयकार नहीं होती, कोशिश करने वालों की कभी हार नहीं होती. So I always, whenever I am down, I always think of these lines and I am always back.
Thank you, Toastmaster Abhay, for the inspiring lines. And my apologies for the people that I'm not able to call, because due to the time constraint, we have to close the session right away. I would like to thank the committee for the opportunity and signing off for now. Thank you.
Dhanyawad, Priyanka. That was a wonderful session. Such variety and diversity in the table topics that we had today. Moving on to the next section. Next is the most important session for the day. That's the evaluation. To lead this, we have a guest, an experienced Toastmaster in Costa-Braziton. He was born and brought up in Kerala, and he used to spend his holidays in Bangalore because his father used to work in Bangalore. And of course, in the 1980s and 1990s, Bangalore was indeed a perfect vacation spot because it used to be called the retired man's paradise in those days. And he loves to go on long drives in and around Bangalore, and when he goes, he explores the rich diversity that the state has to offer. He has been a Toastmaster for more than 10 years and the charter president of Indiranagar Pride Toastmasters Club. He was the chief editor for District 92 in 2014 and 15. ಜೋರಾದ ಚಪ್ಪಾಳೆಯೊಂದಿಗೆ ಸ್ವಾಗತಿಸಿ ಟೋಸ್ಟ್ ಮಾಸ್ಟರ್ ಕೌಸ್ತುಭ್ ಮಾತನಾಡುತ್ತಾರೆ.
Good evening. I would like to begin with an introduction of evaluation because we didn't get an opportunity to introduce why we have evaluation. First of all, can I see how many guests are here? It's a misnomer. We call it evaluation, but it's pretty much giving feedback. And what gives me the authority to give feedback? Nothing. I just base it on a few principles which I'll share with you. So my job here is to observe the meeting from start to finish and present a report on what we did well and how we can do things differently. Everyone says better. I would like to say how we can do things differently.
Yes, audible.
At the back, can you hear me now? Okay. Little louder. This is the best, I think. I'm not used to having a lectern in front of me because this is not a practice at my club. So my hands are going to be very good. I'm going to try avoiding to hold on to this. Okay, so let's get started. Alan, give me one of these answers, Russia or Ukraine?
Ukraine.
Okay, so we'll start with speech evaluations first. By way of choosing which one to start with. So let's call the individual speech evaluators first to hear the evaluations of speeches. For the first speech today that was delivered by Toastmaster Richard D'Souza, let's call upon stage Toastmaster Alok Sinha.
Namaskar, very good evening to all of you. Toastmaster Richard today delivered a bereavement speech. First of all, sir, when you've actually delivered it in person, I'm sure it must have taken a lot of courage to do that. We kind of think to imagine delivering that kind of speech. So, congratulations on that, kudos on that. But coming to the evaluation of today's speech, I felt the speech had a very poignant beginning when you talked about how people we love are taken away from us and sometimes snatched away from us. So that I think set the tone for the entire speech. But then you struck a optimistic note saying we must celebrate the legacy of the person who has left us and remember her for all the good things. That was very well done. It meant that we should not be drowning in our sorrow, but we can take things from our life to celebrate and remember the person for the good things in her life. And when you talk to us with the anecdotes, again, the tone was more about the narrative device that you used in sharing these anecdotes was more storytelling. And that storytelling, I'm sure, would have connected with the audience on that day, and it connected with the audience today because you talked about her life. You made her a figure who was there with us, amongst us, and that helps us remember the person. That would have helped the audience that day remember the person as she lived and breathed. And today it gave us a picture of the person as she was in her life. So these were the observations that I had as far as the content was concerned. Now, if I were to give a piece of feedback, this was a very difficult speech to deliver in my opinion because we don't know the person. You know the person, but we don't know the person. So in that way, maybe if you could have exaggerated the tone a little bit to convey the emotion, to convey the depth of emotion, maybe we would have connected with the speech slightly better. And secondly, in these kind of speeches, I believe pauses go a long way in enhancing the effect of the speech. So as and when you deliver the speech, when you say, deliver the quote in the beginning, or when you were talking about the individual instances in the person's life, maybe after each of these instances, if you had given that pause for us to soak in the depth, or soak in the moment, or soak in the instance, that would have had a much better effect. Now, coming to the specific feedback from the last speech, which was about inducing humor into the speech that Toastmaster Robinson had given, I don't think this was a speech conducive to that in particular. So, apart from that, I really believe this took a lot of courage in terms of delivering the speech on that day, and to retell that entire speech today it must have taken some emotions from you as well to come out here and deliver that. So thanks a lot for delivering the speech, and wish you good luck in your future speeches. Back to you, Vinod.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster Alok. We'll move on to the second speech's evaluation. Second speech was presented by Toastmaster Vijay, and that will be evaluated by Toastmaster Alok.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Incomplete tasks, and there are so many, ruins my sleep, and I'm 110% sure that the Zeigarnik effect that Toastmaster Vijay spoke about takes a lot of mental space of mostly all of us present here and creates a lot of anxiety. So firstly, kudos to Toastmaster Vijay for selecting a relevant, relatable and reflective topic of a common suffering for the audience. Now, Toastmaster Vijay, you in your informative speech told us about the causes and effects of the Zeigarnik effect, and that was delivered in a very documentary style. And whether you realized it or not, but your appearance on stage was very calm, very comfortable. That's because of your good voice. You're very seamless with your voice and the proper eye contact with each sections in the room, with people in each section of the room. Now let's come to the content of your speech. You started with the past when you educated us about the origination of the term Zeigarnik. Then you moved to the present where you told us about the application of the Zeigarnik effect, and then there was a call to action which was the solution to the problem in hand. Now this, the logical structure of the speech and an easy explanation of the topic made it very understandable for all of us, and at the same time you made sure that the informations you give are apt. You did not overload the minds of anyone here with more than what information was required. The major hooks of your speech were firstly the start, where you started with a question and directly engaged with the audience. Second was, now you played very smart by using a line which has a very subconscious effect on all of us, which was, "My dear Zeigarnik effect victims." And this kind of made us believe that all of us are somehow victims of it. Now, these two were the major hooks of your speech. Coming to the transition, your transition from the problem in hand to the example and the transition between the examples of the application of Zeigarnik effect in the companies now, or the entertainment industries, or you also created an imaginative story between me and Puneet. The transitions between these and the solution at the very end was seamless, which was supported by your seamless movement on the stage. You came to one part of the stage, you made a point, moved to the other part of the stage, then you made a point. And that kind of helped us remember all the parts of your speech very well. You did not give us any jazz or philosophy, but you spoke facts and figures. Like now, I know that the Zeigarnik effect was created or invented in 1920 by a Russian psychologist and psychiatrist. And it was invented only after experimenting on a set of children. And I'm sure I will not forget this. So there was no jazz, no philosophy, there was fact and figure. Now, if I have to overstep a little bit and give you some pieces of advice, it would be the use of variety in the volume. And this is very minor, but at a certain level, you could have used it more effectively. For example, when you said, out of 138 students, 110 of them were thinking about the incomplete tasks. You could have played with your volume here. Out of 138 students, do you know how many of them were thinking about the incomplete tasks? 110. So this kind of brings intensity and gets the audience transfixed to your content. The second is, when you spoke about the solution, when you gave us the tips on applying a strategy called CAM, what is the credibility of it? How much impact has it created in the past for us to believe you and follow the same in our life? You could have used a little bit of information in that aspect and made the solution more credible. Now, if I have to summarize my evaluation, it was a well-researched, well-prepared speech with the close being the engagement with the audience, the logical structure of your speech, the information which was not overloaded, and a few grows where you could have improved your voice modulation, and the pause after giving any fact for the audience to digest the information. Nonetheless, it's always a delight to see you on stage, and wishing you all the best for all the upcoming presentations in the future. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We move on to the evaluation of the last speech for today, which is presented by Toastmaster and will be presented by Toastmaster Stephen.
There was a chemistry tube experiment. Our Toastmaster Abhinandan has put a story of childhood experience of standing outside the door during his college days, and habit of reading books and habit of research in R&D exploded in better way. You are able to explain about yourself to the club in very well manner. Congratulations to it. When I saw your script, I just felt you are a never give up man. Every scientist is never give up because they love innovations, and each journey in the Toastmaster, the 3 different experiences in the Toastmaster, found out so many things in your life. Felt you are a never give up Toastmaster. Number 3, this Bangalore Toastmaster Club will be your chemistry lab, and we're going to give a place for you to discover your thoughts, combine it, and we are always ready for you to hear your beautiful innovation stories in front of everyone, where we are always there to cheer up. And congratulations once again for giving your icebreaker session to everyone, and you are a great innovator, man. Thank you.
So a few notes for the evaluators before we proceed. I'm going to keep it generic. A lot of evaluators feel compelled to follow the guidelines recommended by Toastmasters, which is structure of the speech, intonation, vocal variety, body language, positioning, and so on. It is a good guideline. Remember that it is only a guideline. Sometimes some speeches require you to go a bit further and treat that speech as a power of thought and give it its due feedback. So in the case of the first evaluation, you compel yourself, so you compel yourself to stick to the guidelines of pauses in the others, whereas in that speech you could have evaluated whether that person, Shubha, was done justice, very able to see that person come alive in front of us. And that's all probably was required, because this is a special speech. And therefore it can be attempted in that. Another way of doing things. The second speaker, the second evaluator, I would like to comment that while it is a good thing for the speaker to hear that his speech was listened to carefully and the details were absorbed carefully, if we can focus 3/4 of the evaluation to specific things in my speech that I can carry forward to my next speech or avoid in my next speech, that is more beneficial to the speaker. So as much as I would like to hear what my content was, because that proves to me that you listen to it carefully, I would also like to understand from those things that you listen to, what are the strengths that I should carry forward to my next speech, and what are the things that I should prevent myself from doing this stuff. That's one way. And last evaluator, is this your first time evaluating or initial stages of evaluating? You can speak longer. You are given 3 minutes, so try to do a bit more effort. One of the challenges that we face when we listen to a good speech is we are at a loss of words to explain what was good in it. So I'm going to take the liberty of evaluating that speaker because I believe his icebreaker speech requires a more detailed evaluation. First of all, I would like to ask, you've been in Toastmasters, this is your 3rd attempt in Toastmasters, but how many speeches have you delivered?
I think 6 speeches.
Okay.
So first, a word. The standing ovation in essence is for the speaker breaking the courage to come in front of an audience and doing it. So this is a split 6 speech, so it doesn't really matter, but nothing wrong with it. But every tradition has a reason behind it. And when you believe in that tradition, so when you believe in that reason, the tradition makes sense. Now, coming to your speech, because you're allowed to use notes in the first speech, and you used it, don't be bothered about it. You compel yourself to use some vocabulary and sentences that were a challenge for your first speech, and that's the only reason why you had to use notes. But otherwise, you crafted a beautiful message through your life journey, through things that you were interested in. And for the first speech, you had a wonderful take on coming with full circle. Right? It's beautifully done. You have the talents to become a good speaker. You should keep practicing and don't make this habit of running away and coming back. Try to find more time, try to speak more. That is definitely there. So we try to express what is good about that speaker. What are the pictures that came in front of us when I was listening to the speaker? Give it descriptive treatment. That is the end. So you're not just saying something was good, but you're clearly defining why you felt it was good. That is the challenge we overcome by trying to do evaluations. It's okay, you're in the initial stages of evaluation, you pick it up, but just understand that this is where you can go. Let's now start with the evaluation of the meeting from the start. I was invited to join the group by Monday or Tuesday, which is great because by then all the role players were in place and our role takers were also in place. I was surprised. My meetings on Sunday and our agenda has not come out yet. So this was fantastic. There's been only one change which is perfectly fine. So in terms of the run-up to the meeting, this club is doing fantastic. Let's hear a round of applause. There wasn't a lot of follow-up required in the group itself, so this group seems to be a self-driven one, which is a very good thing again to have for the BP education. When I walked into this hall at 6 o'clock, there were a significant number of people here who were very busy decorating the place. The fervor was very evident to me, which is good. There was no one who recognized me. Toastmaster Richard extended his welcome to me and recognized me. And then a lot of people came and talked to me. But I think you were a little lost in the celebrations. So keep a conscious effort in one person or the other to be dedicated to attend to guests who walk in. I did not feel offended because I've been to so many meetings and it's not a big deal for me. But such a club as this one, where a lot of guests do come and where you have big shoes to fill, not a big, very big one, big shoes to fill, it's better to have that dedicated person watching out only for guests. As the meeting started on time, which has become the only way we can do things. So it started on time. The first person who came on stage is the Sergeant-at-Arms. Are you the Sergeant-at-Arms of the club or are you acting Sergeant-at-Arms? I can understand that you have started your Toastmasters journey very recently. Haven't had an opportunity to do this job very often. The expectations of a Sergeant-at-Arms is that he's courteous, he's welcoming, he puts everyone at ease and makes this a meeting that people can look forward to. In today's meeting, because it was a bilingual meeting, you were given this challenge of having to recite those first few sentences in Kannada, which was a challenge for you. And therefore it took away a little bit of the warmth you could have extended. I would suggest that next time try to ask people how their day was, how the week was. If they are looking forward to the weekend, tell them that you're happy to see them here. Thank them for taking time out to come here. That makes a person connect. You are the first person you see here. It's like people have come to your home and you didn't ask them anything, but you just started talking. So think on that, think on those lines and try to do a different job next time. The next person who came on stage was the presiding officer, and what is expected of a presiding officer is an address that we can look up to. And the first thing that I loved about Toastmaster Hannah is the power of her voice. It was commanding. Her stance was commanding. You took authority, you took charge of the situation that is expected of her.
and you have good diction and intonation. So therefore, that address came out as it was expected of the presiding officer. The presiding officer's role is an opportunity to express or show the progress of communication that has been gained through Toastmasters, and that is what is for. So that was done very well. I just have one suggestion for you. You chose the analogy of the 7 ex-com officers to bring forth the theme of today, which is diversity. Next time, you could try the delight of shorter messages with powerful thoughts to take away, powerful lessons to take away. Because that moment of epiphany, right, where I realized something that I did not know, through very short content that is shared, that is an eye-opener, and people take delight in that. So, and that is also skill in communication, that you say less, but give people more. So try to do it at some point of time. Then came the master ceremonies. There are a couple of things that I had to write out, because usually I'm able to remember the good qualities of everyone who comes on stage. So you started with a song, wonderful, you're a good singer, right? It was pleasing to start with. The melange of local languages that you did, that was a good connect with the audience, wonderful job, you required of an MC. The fun bullshit with the tongue twisters, wonderful job again. Introduced the Toastmasters organization. These are all wonderful things that you do. You introduced the tag team. I usually done by the general value testing, which is why I had to do the evaluation, introduction of evaluation again. There are 2 things that I would suggest which you do to take it to the next level. The first one is that when you introduce someone, right, it has to be a sincere one. The notes kind of take the whole magic. So even if they gave you 10 lines and you're able to do only 2, but if you do it from memory, that makes bigger impact than reading all the 10 lines from the notes. So that just works. I'm not saying we are not sincere, but the act of looking sincere also matters. So next time, avoid the notes and use the introduction from memory. But the other thing is, you are a very good host as long as things go planned, as you have planned. But when there is a slight disturbance from the audience, so a question or somebody suggests something, you reel a little bit. Right? You come back to reality and take a moment to catch up to your energy. So the next level of being a great host is to be able to handle those situations also. Take it in the stride. Same energy, same enthusiasm, same smile. The smile vanishes. That's the best way I can put it. When somebody interrupts you. So try to keep up the smile. And that's the only thing to do. Otherwise, a wonderful job done by all the first 3 people. Let's hear it all. The only person left to evaluate is the Toastmaster, table topic master of the day. Toastmaster Priyanka. You're also very new to the club. Okay, so here is what I saw. Great presentation skills. You are a talent that should not be wasted. You have the makings of a speaker who can come on stage and take charge of the city and take this whole audience along with you through a wonderful journey. Right? What do you have? You have great diction. You have great command over your voice. The way you speak is legible and clear. Everyone will understand what you say, and they will be hooked to what you say. These are the makings of a speaker that you have. What can you incorporate to take to the next level? It starts with you. There is nothing you can learn. The only thing that you need to bring in is to enjoy your time on stage yourself. The moment you start enjoying, everyone else will start. Right now, you help those different speakers together with sometimes connections missing, sometimes an orphan line here and there. That should not be. It should be filled with the thoughts that are going through your mind. When you're sitting there listening to the speaker, thoughts are running through your mind. You will find a way to vent those thoughts when you come on stage in a good way that can be enjoyed by you. That's when you become a commanding person. So that's your next step. So try to do that. And the only thing to do is try enjoying your time here and the thoughts that come to your mind by listening to others speak, and start speaking. And it will come out all from that because you have all the rest of it. So let's hear a round of applause for that. We will have to do the voting now. Do we do that after the tag vote or after the tag? So let's start with the reports of the 3 people who are helping me keep an eye on different aspects of the meeting in the order that it was introduced, starting with the grammarian.
I've done my best to see a positive use of English language, and there was a lot of idioms used today. I'll just read out the idioms that we used today. Toastmaster Richard's state of mind, and Toastmaster Vijay Kalkundri, left a lasting effect, let me take you, you have conquered. Toastmaster Abhinandan, crossed paths, jumping ahead, led me to the place, go back in time. Then Toastmaster Alok Sinha, set the tone, soak in the moment. Toastmaster Kaustubh Rajendran, come alive. And in terms, and haunting memories, drowning in our sorrows, by Toastmaster Alok Sinha. So I did observe a lot of idioms being used. And in terms of personification, Facebook is pulling. Crafted a beautiful speech, was again a good use of language in terms of creating a picture. There's a lot of alliteration. Hearts and Homes. Hearts and Homes was Toastmaster Richard D'Souza. Toastmaster Vijay saw something strange. Award and reward. And Toastmaster Ankit used a lot of alliteration. Relevant, recurrent, relatable. Calm and comfortable, facts and figures. And although there were myriad opportunities, you use the word myriad, nobody used the word myriad. Thank you.
When you took time to read my name, this incident came to my mind. You know, we just come back from the online meetings and people can't recognize my own handwriting. So I thought you would like to recognize your own handwriting. Let's move on to the next term there, the accountants.
As the accountant today, I started with her again. I realized almost every speaker uses clutch words regularly in their speech. It's something involuntary, but I'll just state the ones which used it the most. We have Toastmaster Ankit with 10 use of Abhay with around 6, Abhinandan 107, and even Toastmaster Kaustubh has a tendency of using so a lot with the evaluation that you have been giving. I saw it being used 7 times. Repeat another.
Did you say 107 times?
Yeah.
That was to the same. Fine, thank you. Just a word of caution, the accountant's code has ruined the confidence of more people than it has helped anyone. It has made the Toastmasters more conscious of anyone using a crutch. So take it with a pinch of salt. Let's move on to the timers proposal.
So, time and tide waits for none. ಸಮಯ ಮತ್ತು ಉಬ್ಬರವಿಳಿತವು ಯಾವುದಕ್ಕೂ ಕಾಯುವುದಿಲ್ಲ. ಇವತ್ತಿನ ನಮ್ಮ ಟೋಸ್ಟ್ ಮಾಸ್ಟರ್ ಮೀಟಿಂಗ್ ಸ್ವಸ್ತಿಪಾನ ಪೋಷಕರ ಮೀಟಿಂಗ್. ಇದರಲ್ಲಿ ಭಾಷಣ ಮಾಡಿದವರು ಎಲ್ಲ ಟೈಮ್ ಮೇಂಟೈನ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರು, ಯಾವುದೂ ತೊಂದರೆಗಳು ಇರಲಿಲ್ಲ. ಆದರೆ ನಮ್ಮ TM ಮೋಡಿ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ರಾ ಟೈಮ್ ತಗೊಂಡ್ರು. ಸೊ ಅವರು ಆಲ್ಮೋಸ್ಟ್ 4 ಮಿನಿಟ್ಸ್ ಎಕ್ಸೀಡ್ ಆಗಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಮತ್ತು ಟೇಬಲ್ ಟಾಪಿಕ್ಸ್ ಎಲ್ಲ ನಾನು ಗಂಟೆ ಹೊಡೆದ ಕಾರಣ ಅಲ್ಲಿಯೇ ನಿಲ್ಲಿಸಿ ಬಿಟ್ಟರು, ಅವರು ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಟೈಮ್ ತಗೊಳ್ಳಿಲ್ಲ. ಮತ್ತು ನಮ್ಮ ಜನರಲ್ ಇವ್ಯಾಲ್ಯುವೇಟ್, ದಟ್ ಇಸ್ ಅ ಜನರಲ್ ಇವ್ಯಾಲ್ಯುವೇಟ್ ಆಲ್ರೆಡಿ ಎಕ್ಸೀಡೆಡ್ ಟೈಮ್. ಸೊ ಇನ್ನು ನಾನು ಎಕ್ಸೀಡ್ ಆಗಲ್ಲ, ಇಲ್ಲಿ ನನ್ನ ಮಾತನ್ನು ನಿಲ್ಲಿಸ್ತೇನೆ. ಥ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಯು.
Thank you very much. I will not take more time of yours, but I will just use 1 minute to explain to everyone the opportunity that Toastmasters uses. We all think that this is a place we come to improve our communication. That is one of those things. The second thing is we can have a lot of fun here. We have a lot of fun here with different languages, states, dialects, and all those things. But there's also presents an opportunity for power of thought. And what do I mean by that? Now this theme today, the diversity that we're celebrating, in myriad corners of the nation, different speeches went up in different languages, and that's what paved the way independence. We celebrated just one language of that. So the labyrinth of thoughts that have come through this theme actually is a tribute to the people who have never probably spoken English but spoken different languages and inspired an audience, inspired a nation to fight for its independence. Thank you very much.
ಧನ್ಯವಾದಗಳು Toastmaster Oscar. It was a pleasure listening to you. We often don't like negative comments, but you made all those comments look so good and encouraging. It is not easy to give such constructive feedback without hurting someone and at the same time encouraging them to go to the next level. That was super encouraging. Thank you for gracing the occasion and giving such wonderful feedback. I'm sure we all will learn and grow to higher, go to much higher heights in the days to come. Let's give another big round of applause. ಈಗ ನಾವು ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮದ ಅಂತಿಮ ಕ್ಷಣಗಳಿಗೆ ಬಂದಿದ್ದೀವಿ. ನನಗೆ ಅವಕಾಶ ಮಾಡಿಕೊಟ್ಟಂತಹ ತಮ್ಮೆಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ಧನ್ಯವಾದಗಳು. ಕೊನೆಯದಾಗಿ ಒಂದು ಮಾತನ್ನ ಹೇಳೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಬಯಸ್ತೀನಿ. ಎಲ್ಲರೂ ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ ಕನ್ನಡ ರಾಜ್ಯೋತ್ಸವ ಬಂತು, ಕನ್ನಡವನ್ನು ಉಳಿಸಿ ಬೆಳೆಸಿ ಅಂತ. ನಾನು ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಅದನ್ನು ಚೇಂಜ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀನಿ. ಕನ್ನಡವನ್ನ ಬಳಸಿದ್ರೆ ನಾವು ಉಳಿತೀವಿ, ಹಾಗೆ ಬೆಳಿತೀವಿ. ಧನ್ಯವಾದಗಳು. ಓವರ್ ಟು ಯು ಅಧ್ಯಕ್ಷರೇ.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Abhinama. And thank you, a special thank you to the G who came over. Thank you for all your time and effort in gracing our meeting today. I'll go on with the awards which we have at the moment. The best table topic speaker goes to Toastmaster Surekha. Goes to Toastmaster Vijay Kalundri. The Best Evaluator Award goes to Toastmaster Ankit Kumar. The Best Role Taker Award goes to Toastmaster Abhinama. I must say, he was very enthusiastic about this meeting. Way beyond more than a week back, he has started preparing. Very special efforts have gone into bringing this meeting to pass, and thank you once again. The Best Auxiliary Role Taker Award goes to Toastmaster Sharma. She has a few announcements for the division and area.
Just a reminder again, this Sunday the division is conducting a program that is called Breaking the Barriers of Gender Insensitivity and requesting and looking forward to active participation from our club. Thank you.
That brings us to the end of our meeting. Don't forget Surekha ma'am's snacks. about Toastmasters. And thank you again for your time, and I hope you all learned something and had a good time. Look forward to seeing you next Friday. And I now close meeting number 1349.